your life, don't you? Different views. So I wasn't pushed into any faith. In fact, I was christened at the age of 71.
Whoa! Are you older than 71? You look younger than that.
Oh, yeah, I'm 72 now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was christened just over a year ago.
So most of your life you were not a Christian then?
Well, I wasn't. I believed. I suppose I believed. But as I say, it's. I can't say that. I have my doubts.
You have your doubts, okay.
I have doubts. But then there's it was a Muslim actually who said it to me.
Okay.
And he said, but your doubts are part of your faith.
Right, okay.
Which made a lot of sense, you know. But, I mean, I don't...
Okay. And would you say that in your early years, say your teens and your early 20s, did you have faith in God? You believed in something?
I suppose you have to believe in something, because my feeling is, if there was nothing, there'd be nothing here now.
Yeah.
It's probably the way that I feel about it. I believe God's a mathematician.
God's a mathematician? I mean, you said something like, if something wasn't there, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
That actually makes a lot of sense, you know.
So I suppose, yes, I do. And I suppose you have these feelings in your life and you tend to sort of know what's...
Sorry?
You sort of tend to know what's what, you know, and I think, you know, you have these senses. It's like when I got christened, I was in Norwich at the time, and I said to my parents, they were there, sort of near where I was, because that was where they were married.
Right.
And I thought, I'm going to go and visit the church where they were married. And I walked down to the church. It was the middle of the week, and as I expected, it was all locked up and there was no one there. And I got talking to the gardener down there who looks after the churchyard. And I got chatting to him, we had a chat. And we finished up talking about football, you know, it was like that. And he said to me, I've got to go now. He said, I've got other things to do. And he left and he went away. And I just sat there on a seat just outside the church. I see this woman walking through between the gravestones. And she said to me, you all right? I said, yeah. She said, what are you doing there? I said, well, this is the church where my parents were married.
Okay.
And she said, well, would you like to come in and have a cup of tea?
Okay.
So I said, well, it's all locked up. And she said, well, it's okay, because I'm the vicar. I've got the key.
Oh, it's a female vicar?
Yes,
right.
female vicar. And she invited me in, we had a long chat.
Okay.
And had a long chat about different things. And she asked me about the family I grew up in. I was got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I said it was only one of my sisters that was christened, but she was very ill soon after she was born.
She was what, sorry?
She was very ill soon after.
Oh, very ill, okay.
Yeah, so my parents got her christened.
Right.
And I said, but I've never been christened.
Okay.
And she looked at me and she said, would you like me to christen you now? I thought it was so lovely, you know. And I said, yeah, I you know, that would be, you know, be really lovely stuff.
Okay.
And she, we had a long chat. She talked about my family. She said, have you got a family yourself? And I said, no, I said, I'm gay. I haven't got a family.
Right.
No, what I said to her was, I said, for my sins, I'm gay. But I was only using that phrase because it's a well-worn phrase.
Right.
Not because I was actually thinking about the looks. But she looked at me and she said, it's not a sin to be gay.
Right. I thought the Church of England believed it was a sin to be gay.
Oh yes, I think various Christian groups still do.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't go. I suppose again it's because it's the Protestant.
Right.
It's the Protestant,
Which
I like.
Right.
Because the Protestant means to protest.
Oh yes. Okay.
Okay, that's what I like about it.
Right.
When other people, when Roman Catholics, well, the Pope will get an edict, or the Pope will give an edict to Roman Catholics, and he says, I've spoken to God. and I'm now telling you. Whereas I like it being Church of England. If I want some moral issue, I'll speak to God. I don't need someone else to do it on my behalf. I'll do it, and I'll make my mind up.
So, Andy, that's very interesting. You've said that a few times, that faith for you is between yourself and God. It's between Andy and God, right?
Yeah.
Islam also teaches the same thing. Islam says it's not between you and some imam or somebody else or some vicar. It's between you and God. But do you think you went back to Christianity because it's the religion of your ancestors, or did you look into other religions as well?
I'll be honest, I feel uncomfortable with a lot of Sharia law.
Right.
I feel uncomfortable, because I've heard a lot of people say, people who claim to be Christians, who have said that if someone gets murdered, the victim's family should have a say-so in what sentence is passed down.
Right.
And I say, no, that's wrong.
Right.
Because how they're punished is how vengeful the relations are, rather than how heinous the crime you've committed is.
Okay, so is that because of the Bible they say that, or what's the reason they say that?
Well, I suppose again it goes back to the concept of forgiveness. It's a very hard thing to do, but I think if you can do it, I think you're the person that comes out better.
Right.
I remember there was a murder in Northern Ireland some years back, and some girl was killed. And the father of this girl that was killed said, no, I forgive her killers.
Right.
He said, and by doing that, it's over for me.
Right.
Because if I was to be vengeful against them, they'd be punishing me for the rest of my life.
Right.
So he said, by actually doing that, I suppose.
Okay. And look, I understand your perspective. I'm sure other Christians have different perspectives, and I have a different perspective. But when it comes to theology, Christianity teaches Jesus is the Son of God, right? And Islam teaches something different. Do you know what Islam teaches about Jesus?
Well, I understand that Christ is a prophet in
Yes,
Islam.
yes.
But you see, I look at this when people talk about Jesus. I just think Jesus is God in human form.
So, the thing is, God himself is all-powerful, right? We agree. And God is all-knowing, and Jesus was not all-powerful and all-knowing. He's a human, like you said. He ate, he drank, he did what human beings do, right? So, from the Islamic perspective, what the Quran states is that he's a human being, he's not divine. He's the Messiah, he's a messenger, but God doesn't become a human.
I think what you're trying to do, have you heard of Richard Dawkins?
Yes.
I remember talking to somebody once about Richard Dawkins, who was a Richard Dawkins fan.
Right.
And I said, Richard Dawkins should be a Jehovah's Witness.
Right, okay.
And they looked at me and they go, you what? How can you say that? And I said, well, what he's trying to do, he's trying to answer complex questions which we don't understand with simple answers. And that's what the Jehovah's Witnesses try to do.
Right, okay.
They're both the same.
Right.
And I say there's things, sorry, at the moment, we don't understand. We need to understand, we need to accept we don't understand it. You know.
If I was to ask you a question, Andy, if Jesus came, because we both believe Jesus is alive, that's where we both share our beliefs, right? If Jesus came down from heaven right now and he was here in Speaker's Corner, he would be a physical human being, right? And if he said to you, Andy, I never claimed to be God, I only claim to be a messenger of God, would you believe him?
Again, I think you're trying to answer a very complex question.
Right.
It's like, I always look at it this way. I used to have a Rottweiler dog.
Right.
My boyfriend got it for me because I told him I was scared of big dogs.
Right.
So he got me a Rottweiler.
Right.
Rottweilers are supposed to be quite intelligent dogs.
Right. Quite aggressive as well.
Well, they're not actually. A dog is as aggressive as the owner makes it.
Right. Okay.
Now, Rottweilers, now dogs are twice as clever as cats are. A and Rottweilers are intelligent dogs. But as hard as I tried, I could not explain to her how to do quadratic equations.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I understand
And I think
that.
that's where we are.
I agree, Andy, but at the same time, you are someone who's going to have judgments on morality. For example, you thought it was very nice of the woman to invite you inside, right?
Yes.
If I speak to you in a kind, gentle way, you will say that that's moral. If you hear someone shouting and being abusive, you would say that's immoral. So we can make judgments about right and wrong when it comes to morality. When it comes to God, there's basic judgments we can make. For example, God's one. We agree God's one, right? We don't agree there's more than one God. We agree there's one ultimate reality.
I think there's something out there. There's something out which we don't
So we
comprehend.
agree is greater than us. Whatever's out there is greater than us.
Well, I suppose so, yes.
It has to be.
As I said to you, God's a mathematician. And I know you sort of...
I'm not sure about that word mathematician. It has other connotations for me.
Okay, because I look at it this way. If you study biology is very much dependent upon chemistry, and chemistry is very much dependent upon physics, like if you go into the periodic table. Physics is very dependent upon mathematics.
That's right.
Mathematics is
Logical.
the empress of the sciences.
Yeah.
That's why I say God's a mathematician.
Well, we could say God is...
What I try and do is I try and understand what God is. Link it into...
Sure. Instead of saying God's a mathematician, I see where you're going. There's a better way of saying it. So, like you said, biology turns into chemistry, chemistry turns into physics, physics turns into maths, but maths turns into logic, and logic's ultimate goal is truth. So what we would say is God is the truth. God is the ultimate reality. That's a better way of saying it than God's the mathematician.
Well, I suppose yes. I mean, I suppose if you look at it, I mean, the sort of logic and the truth is the science. That's what science is.
It's greater than science. It's greater than
Well,
science.
it's the science. It's the science. It's like people say to me, "Oh, how can you believe?"
How are you doing? Long time no see.
Yeah,
Old friend.
But people say to me, "But it's just totally irrational that there's a heaven somewhere."
Right.
I said, "No, I said, but if you study quantum mechanics, for example, the brain works on quantum mechanics.
Right.
That's what the human brain works on, quantum mechanics. Quantum particles can pass into a parallel universe.
Right.
Mathematicians understand parallel universes exist. So is it that far-fetched to believe that when we die, we go into a parallel universe, which we could call heaven?"
I mean, we don't disagree with that. There is something beyond this world. There may be parallel universes. But theologically, you see, Moses, I'm sure you've read... Have you read some of the Bible?
Yes,
You-
I'm not a great Bible reader, as
But
I
you-
say, there's books I pick up and read, you know.
But you know some of the basics like Abraham, Noah, Moses, you know these people, right?
Yeah,
They always called to the worship of God alone.
yeah.
And Jesus also did the same. Now, Jesus bowed down to God. Now, if he's divine, why would he bow down to God? Islam teaches he's not God, he's a messenger of God. And that makes more sense than saying he's God.
No, but I suppose I look at it as a sort of spiritual being as well. I mean, I'm a spiritualist.
Right.
And I believe in the spirit. For example,
What does that mean, like a spiritualist? What does that mean?
I'm an evolutionist. I believe in evolution.
Right.
I don't believe the story of creation as it is in the Bible.
Right.
I just can't. I just can't follow it. You know, it's like when it's cold, you get goose pimples. Do you know why you get goose pimples? When it's cold.
Because it helps with your insulation.
Yeah, it raises, but they don't do any good to us because we got no hair. We don't have the hair that
Right.
our ancestors had, but we still got it. It's like the appendix, you know. Well, no,
Vestigial, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, both of these things, firstly, the appendix is no...
You see, the thing is, to my belief in it is, people say, "Why, something doesn't matter." Because it's the soul that matters, it's the spirit that matters.
I see what you're saying, but even when it comes to evolution, the appendix, we've found a function for it now. Darwin thought there wasn't a function. And when it comes to the goosebumps, that's consistent with creation. That's consistent with the idea of God creating us. So you see, believing in evolution and the evidences that you're presenting, these things are compatible with creation and they're compatible with different types of evolution. But look, let's get back to the point about God, right? What Moses taught about God is what we believe. So you got some Jewish people here in Speaker's Corner as well, and they also believe what I believe. The thing is, what I'm trying to get to is, Andy, do you believe in Christianity simply because it's the religion of your ancestors, or do you think it's rational to believe Jesus is God?
I think, like my friend I spoke to earlier on who was an atheist, and he said to me, I'm an atheist,
Yeah.
but if I was to be religious, it would have to be Church of England.
Church of England.
He was excluding even from that the Roman Catholic Church and the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay.
He was excluding all those other branches of Christianity. He said, if I was to believe, it would have to be Church of England.
Sure.
And I think, in a way, that's how I feel.
Okay.
Now, you could argue, yes, okay, it's what I've been brought up with.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Okay, I mean, that's honest of you. But I just brought my friend, his name is Rahmatullah. This is Andy.
How are you, Andy? Good?
So, his ancestors, going back, they were people who believed in a type of pagan religion, okay? And then they became Muslim. My ancestors go back from and they became Muslim. Your ancestors going back were Christian, but before that they were pagan. So people choose and pick their religion, right? But shouldn't we use our reason to choose the religion that we're going to choose, rather than just going with what our ancestors believed?
Yeah, but I suppose again that I could look at Church of England. I've had the Jehovah's Witnesses come round and knock on my door, goodness knows how many times.
Okay.
But they're really pissed off with me.
Okay.
And do you know why? Because I keep them there and I argue with them.
Okay.
They don't call on my front door anymore.
They normally like that though when someone
They
invites
don't like
them.
it because they don't like being. And as I say, it's. I don't know. I suppose there might be another faith out there that I might have felt comfortable with.
Okay.
Somebody once said to me once, he said, you know when you do right or wrong because you can feel it in your heart.
Sometimes your heart can lead you astray too. Like sometimes there's things you want to do, but they're not good for you.
I was going to carry on.
Okay, sorry.
The man who said that to me was an Islamic cleric.
Right. But he could be wrong though.
It could be yes.
Yes. Look, what I'm trying to get to is that when it comes to God being human, this is not something which the prophets of the Old Testament taught. And it's not something which Jesus believed in, because you know, the idea of Jesus being God, this came about a time after his death, after he went up to heaven. It happened afterwards. And this theology, this Trinitarian theology that Church of England subscribes to, this was put together hundreds of years later. Do you see?
It may well have been, because you say, as I say, being gay, I mean, I know I can go back over other religions, like, it's a great sin.
Right.
But to me, the way I look at it, is, if I jump into bed with another man who's consenting, that's got to be less of a sin than if I rape a woman.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but I don't see how this is linked to theology. Like, if you're gay or if you're straight, your theological beliefs should be rational, right? And a man being God is not rational, because men are like us. They're limited. They eat, they drink, they're human, right?
But again, you're trying to answer complex questions with simple answers.
Maybe it's a simple question and a simple answer.
You're doing a Richard Dawkins on me.
Not really. Not really. I mean, we both agree. So we can come to some decisions in terms of complex questions, can't we?
Yeah.
But the idea of God being a man is not a complex question. It's actually pretty simple. God can't be a man, because men are limited.
You see, what I love about mathematics, because I don't know what it is. I love maths. I wish I was better. I wish I was brainy enough to go beyond my A level in it. I love maths. But it so stinks in maths. It's like imaginary numbers. It's just so totally abstract.
Right.
It's like when I did logarithms for the first time.
Right.
And it's numbers to the power of 10, and you think, yeah, you can imagine 10 to the power of 3, 10 to the power of 4, 10 to the power of 5, which is 10 times 10 times 10,
Yeah.
or 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. How do you get 10 times? The number is to 3.142. You know, things like that, you don't understand it. And this is the thing with mathematics. And I think there's a lot of things that we don't comprehend because we don't need to. It's like space being curved.
Right.
Somebody, the best way I explain it. If you're sitting on a spaceship and you're in the middle of space, and you've got a module at one end of it, and it leaves 3/4 of the speed of light, right? You see that spaceship disappearing away at 3/4 of the speed of light.
Yeah.
Because wherever you are in space, you're the centre of the universe.
Right.
If you're sitting on the module, you see the spaceship disappearing away at 3/4 of the speed of light. Yeah. So if you're on that spaceship, and one module goes that way at 3/4 of the speed of light, and one module goes that way at 3/4 of the speed of light. If you're sitting on one of the modules, you see the main spaceship going away at 3/4. But what velocity is the other module going away at? Bearing in mind that nothing can go faster than the speed of light.
I'm not sure what the answer is there.
Well, you think it's 3/4 of the speed of light,
Yeah.
plus the other 3/4 of the speed of light, which would have to be 1.5 times the speed of light.
Right.
But nothing can travel faster than the speed of light.
What it has to do with...
And you answer that one, you can answer that one by saying that space is curved.
Right.
So space is curved. Well, we don't comprehend that.
But we do comprehend space is curved. We do also comprehend that a higher mass would mean more curvature. There's things we do comprehend, right? So time and space, we no longer believe them to be fixed. We believe them to be like fabric.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that our brains, like we said with my Rottweiler, who couldn't understand quadratic equations, she didn't need to.
Andy, I agree with you. Certain things we can't understand. But there are certain things we do understand, right? Moses never taught that a man can be God. He taught the opposite. So did Abraham, so did Noah. So Jesus never said these things. These things came much later. And Islam comes to teach that Jesus never claimed to be God. So all I'm trying to say to you is that you have obviously thought about religion deeply. You're an intelligent guy. You should also look into Islam. You shouldn't just go with the religion of your ancestors because they're your ancestors. Do you see? Because your ancestors could be wrong. My ancestors could be wrong. His ancestors.
Yes, we can all be wrong. We can all be wrong.
And we need to use our mind to come to solutions.
Richard, at the end of the day, Richard Dawkins could be right.
I don't agree with that.
No, I say he could be right.
No.
Well, no, I'm
I'm
certain
not
he's
saying-
wrong.
I don't believe he's right. I mean, I've listened to if Richard Dawkins comes on the television, I'll sit down and I'll listen to him.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. I remember him talking once, it was a television programme once, and they were talking about the supernatural.
Right.
And he said, oh, there's a lot of people say, I get comfort from my faith,
Right.
but that doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
You say, okay, fair dues, that's a fair comment. And he was going back, he said, a lot of people think that when they die, they're going on to meet long lost loved ones.
Right.
And then he then said, do you know what he said? The thought of living forever frightens me.
Right.
And you say to yourself, this is a man who gets comfort from his beliefs. He believes in nothing and that gives
That's
him
a very
comfort.
good point. That's a very good point. Yeah. I mean, you've basically inverted his criticism on him. I like that. That makes sense. Have you ever had a copy of the Quran?
I have somewhere I've read it. Listen, I can't spend all time. I can't read the Bible.
Okay,
I like to go and play football.
right.
I like to go boxing with my boxing
But don't you
club.
think God wants you to use your reason, though?
I think as far as I can use my reason, I have used my reason.
Right.
I have used it. Like that boy who I said was an atheist. He said, I'm an atheist, but if I had to choose religion, it would be Church of England.
But if he was born in India, he may have said Hinduism. If he was born in Tibet, he may have said Buddhism or Japan
No, he was
Shintoism.
from Sweden.
Yeah, but Sweden's a Christianized
Yes,
nation,
yes,
right,
yes.
from its ancestry. So, have you looked into the Quran or Islam? Have you done any research?
I suppose I've looked at a lot of faiths, you know, very, very briefly. I don't really. I suppose I get faith from Christianity.
Okay.
I get my faith actually. I love the woman who christened me.
Sorry?
I love the woman who christened me.
Okay.
You know, I've got that feeling for her. You know.
Okay. But these feelings we have for people are good because they were kind to us, polite to us, or whatever it is. But when it comes to what is right, what is wrong about God, we should really be talking to God. We should really be praying to God and asking for guidance about these things,
But
shouldn't we?
I have that feeling, and it's only a feeling which is the same with anybody's faith,
Right.
that God would like me to have an affection for the woman who christened me.
You can have that, but still not believe that Jesus is the Son of God. These two things aren't linked.
No, but I suppose with the religion, it's like people talk about evidence. There's a man over there talking.
Right.
He was told, what's the evidence for Muhammad doing this, for Muhammad doing that?
Right.
It's what you believe in. You know, it's what you have a feeling for. You know.
Not really. I would say belief is important, feelings are important, but evidence is paramount. Evidence should come before any feelings or any sort of, emotions.
But I look at it this way: if you were to walk out across the park just now, and somebody was to stop you and they said, "Oh, I've got this book here. It explains everything." Don't you read it and you think, "Well, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Maybe that doesn't, but that makes sense." Irrespective of what faith it was to do with.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
No, yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that's a good thing we should do. I think it's a good thing we should do. I was going to gift you a copy of the Quran if you wanted. It's up to you.
I'm happy with being a Christian.
Okay, no worries. No worries. My main aim is to share my faith with others.
That's all right. You see, I wouldn't take your Quran because I probably wouldn't read that, and I think that would be being disrespectful to you.
Well, it's a gift, so if you don't read it, it's up to you.
No, but I think that would be disrespectful to you. If I was to take the Quran and just prop up a table with it or something like that.
Well, you
That
looked
would be
into
wrong
other.
to you.
Yeah, you looked into other religions, so that was one of the things I was considering that I was going to ask you to consider to look into Islam as well. But it's entirely up to you because look, at the end of the day, everybody chooses their own path, right? And it's only the job of somebody who believes they're on the right path to at least have a conversation with the other person and say, "This is why I believe what I believe." Yeah.
Like you, I feel I don't mind people questioning my faith. I'm quite happy to do that. And I'd imagine you're pretty quite happy to have people question you about Islam.
Yeah, that's right.
But then one of the ways I feel about it is it makes my faith stronger because people question it. And I bet you feel the same with Islam, do you?
Yeah. I do. I do feel at the same time that we should always respectfully disagree, but we shouldn't sugarcoat when our differences are huge. And I think theologically, the difference between Christianity and Islam